Welcome to Lab 19. Can we overload MVC action methods, or I'll say rather, can we implement polymorphism in MVC? So let me go and clarify this question further. You can see that I have a very simple customer controller here, and this customer controller has a get customer action. And let's assume that this get customer action actually goes to the database and gets a record of customers. Now, what you would like to do is you'd like to go and implement polymorphism, and you'd like to go and create one more get customer function, and this get customer function, or I'll say this get customer action, loads the customer using the customer code value. Okay, so this is simple get customer, and this is overloaded get customer. Okay, so the question here is, will this code work with ASP.NET MVC? And the answer is yes, and the answer is also no. Now, before we get into the discussion of why I have given such a diplomatic and a political answer, let me go and run this application and let us see what happens. So let me go and run this application, and let me try to go and invoke this action here, get customer. So let me go and do a Control F5 here. So let me go and invoke the get customer action. So let me go and say here customer slash get customer, and let me press enter, and you are getting an error here, and the error says that the current request for the action get customer is ambiguous. Now, the simple English meaning of ambiguous means uncertain. Uncertain, in other words, MVC is now confused that should he invoke get customer or should he invoke get customer with customer code. So let us try to understand what exactly is happening here. Now, polymorphism or overloading is a concept of object-oriented programming, and it is respected by C#. So definitely this code compiles, and that's why I said that yes, polymorphism will work with MVC. So in other words, when I go and build this solution here, I don't have any errors. You can see that I get a sign here saying build succeeded down below, right? So yes, because polymorphism or overloading is a feature of C#, or because C# respects object-oriented programming, this code compiles. That's why I said polymorphism will work with MVC. But now these overloaded methods here are invoked via URL, are invoked via HTTP protocol, and in URLs you cannot have duplicate URL names. In other words, you cannot have customer slash get customer, and again you cannot have customer slash get customer with a customer code. So that's why the answer was no, because even though the program compiles, but the URLs cannot be duplicate, and that's why we are getting this error here saying ambiguous, in other words uncertain which method he has to invoke. So we have two worlds here. One world which is the C# program, which follows object-oriented principles. So that's why it is able to implement overloading, it is able to implement polymorphism. And then we have the other world, which is following HTTP protocol, which uses URL naming convention, and there, we cannot have duplicate URL names. So the next logical question is, how do we make both of these worlds working together? In other words, how do I implement polymorphism, and as well as how do I respect the uniqueness of URLs? So in MVC, we have a attribute called as action name. So what we can do here is we can keep the overloaded methods or the overloaded actions as it is, but for the URLs, what we can say is that we can say, okay, if you want to invoke get customer, then go and use this thing here get customer, but if you want to invoke get customer with customer code, then go and use this action name here. So I'll say here use get customer with customer code. So let me go and build this. So I'm going to go and rebuild this solution. So now what will happen here is, so if I say here get customer, okay, so it will go and invoke the first logic, you can see here, and if I say here get customer with customer code, it will invoke the overloaded method. So now you can see here, both of the worlds are happy. The HTTP world, where we want the URLs to be unique, that is respected, and the C# world, where we want to implement polymorphism, that is also done. So in short, if you want to do polymorphism with MVC, you need to use action name. So you can think about that this action name is actually a kind of a mapper between your C# and your URLs. So the URL or the HTTP world can enjoy their uniqueness, and at the same time your C# world can enjoy the polymorphism, it can enjoy overloaded methods. Now the next lab, that is lab 20, will discuss about how we can increase reusability using Angular. So you can think about that lab 20 is the continuation of lab 18 actually. So in lab 18 we saw that how we can use MVC with Angular. In lab 20 I want to stress a very important point which revolves around Angular, and that is reusability. So with the end of lab 20, it will bring us to the end of day 1, that is end of 8 hours of MVC training. So we started with simple hello world, we talked about MVC routing, we talked about session management using view data, temp data, view bag, we talked about model binders, we talked about temp data, peek and keep, we talked about how we can do validations using data annotations, view model, entity framework, Ajax, JSON, jQuery, async controllers, authentication, authorization, modular development using Angular. So many things we have completed in these 8 hours. So the way we have completed 8 hours, the next 8 hours would be equivalently exciting. So keep watching these videos, and I hope that you become an MVC professional very soon. Thank you so much.